European Union. Prime Minister Theresa May says the deal offers a brighter future for the UK, and she's urged Parliament and the public back home to support it. At a special summit in Brussels, the 27 European leaders signed off on two key documents agreed by British and EU negotiators. The main withdrawal agreement, which outlines the terms for the UK leaving, provides for a transition period which would last until at least the end of 2020 to allow Britain to make trade deals. The deal also covers a short political declaration, which is not legally binding, but sets out hopes for an ambitious partnership with the EU for the future. But while the Brexit deal has been signed off in Brussels, it now needs, of course, the approval of Westminster politicians, which could prove less straightforward. Adam Fleming has this report.
Time to shake on it. As EU leaders arrived in Brussels this morning, the message was, this is the deal. The only deal.
This is the deal. The best deal possible. And the European Union will not change its fundamental position when it comes to these issues.
It's the best for everyone, and I really want to say that there is nothing other possible, because there has been concessions also from our side.
This is the deal on the table. I don't think there's anything more, no.
This is all designed to show that the divorce talks have definitively come to an end, and to provide a springboard for Theresa May to sell her deal back at home.
The withdrawal agreement fixes the divorce terms by guaranteeing the rights of EU nationals in the UK and Brits in Europe, settling the UK's financial obligations, estimated at £39 billion, with an insurance policy to avoid checks on the Irish border. There's also a roadmap to the future relationship, one based on free trade, not necessarily the frictionless trade promised by the Prime Minister. There will be continued cooperation on security, and unlimited immigration from the EU, free movement, will come to an end. After nearly 2 years of talks, it took the 27 Prime Ministers, Presidents and Chancellors about 40 minutes to apply the stamp to their side of the bargain. Then the Prime Minister arrived to speak to her fellow leaders. She really wanted to talk directly to you.
In any negotiation, you do not get everything you want. You need to identify what your vital interests are and stick to them. But be prepared
about NASA's latest mission to Mars, and that lander is due to touch down at 8 p.m. GM.
When they look at this deal, they will see it as a good one for our country, and that it is in the national interest for everyone to get behind it.
With the divorce agreed, the other side is now preparing for talks about the future relationship that could last for 4 years.
Ahead of us is the difficult process of ratification as well as further negotiations. But regardless of how it will all end, one thing is certain. We will remain
down and died
until
almost
the end.
immediately. The murder of John Kennedy is a disaster for the whole free world. He caught the imagination of the world. The first of a new generation.
Anti-Brexit protesters showed exactly what they think of the deal. Lots of Brexit supporters don't like it much either. But Brussels isn't the battlefield anymore. It's Britain now. Adam Fleming, BBC News, Brussels.
Yes, that's certainly the case. With the deal agreed by Brussels, focus now turns to Westminster. Prime Minister Theresa May's chances of getting it agreed by Parliament. She's appealed directly to the British public today in an open letter to get behind the deal in the national interest, knowing that its chances of success in Westminster are far from assured. Here's our political correspondent, Leila Nathu.
For now, the hard work is over in Brussels. They have found enough common ground. But back home, the hard sell of the Brexit deal continues. Ministers adamant what's on offer is the best possible outcome.
It gets us a lot of what we wanted, not everything. But the question is, can this be that staging post that gets us to the point where we could get to it? And I think there's a lot of hard work.
The Prime Minister written an open letter calling on the country to get behind the agreement. She insists the deal works for all of our people, whether you vote to leave or remain. And she says after Brexit Day next March, we will begin a new chapter in our national lives. But the real battle now begins here in Westminster, where Parliament will improve the deal in the coming weeks. The numbers don't look good for the government, with opposition parties and dozens of Conservative MPs already vowing to vote it down.
Theresa May is trying to push through Parliament an ill-fated, half-baked deal that's the worst of all worlds. We need to work as hard as we can to ensure she thinks again.
I don't believe that so far this deal delivers on what the British people really voted for. Take back control of your borders, your laws, your money. I think it's ceded too much control.
It's the plan to have keep the Irish border free from checks that have raised hackles across the political spectrum. Northern Ireland's Democratic Unionists are reconsidering their support for the government, which Theresa May relies on for her majority.
We're seeing us staying within the European Union in terms of the single market. The customs union rules will apply to Northern Ireland. We're in the same VAT regime as Europe. We're in the same state aid as Europe. And there is very much a border down the Irish Sea as a result of this, and that's why we can't support this deal.
Theresa May will hope she can convince as many MPs as possible here to back her to avoid a leap into the unknown. Parliament rejects the deal. Both the EU and the government say there can be no renegotiation, hoping that will focus minds. Leila Nathi, BBC News.
Yes, it has been notable throughout the negotiation period over the withdrawal agreement that the 27 countries have stuck quite tightly together, and Donald Tusk mentioned that today. But in the last few days you might have detected that actually national interests are now starting to come to the fore as we talk about the future relationship. So we've had representations from Spain, of course, over Gibraltar. French are interested in this level playing field in the future relationship. The Danes and Dutch very concerned about fishing rights, and in fact one of the additions to the paperwork that we've had so far this weekend was on fishing rights and a desire to get some sort of deal on quotas and access to British waters by 2020. So let's talk a little bit about that with Jacob Langvad, who is the Europe correspondent for Danish Radio. Jacob, good to have you with us. Just how concerned are the coastal communities in Denmark that they might be frozen out of the waters in the UK?
I'd say there's quite some concern, but there's also realization that, of course, there will be tough negotiations ahead. But, I mean, let's look at the past few months and years. It has shown that actually the EU, when they manage to stand together, they actually have the upper hand, and not necessarily through lack of skills on the British side, but just because of the sheer balance of power. You have 27 nations that have managed to stick together. Whether they will be able to do that a bit further down the road remains to be seen, of course. But, I mean, we've seen this strategy of negotiating which says that nothing is agreed until everything is agreed, and if they manage to go forward with that, I think the Britain will be up to some pressure, even be it fisheries or other interests that may divide it along national lines. If the EU as such manages to stick together, they'll still have quite a bigger leverage.
Just how dependent are these Danish coastal communities, though, on British waters?
Excuse me, I couldn't hear that question.
Sorry, I think we just lost you there for a second. I was just asking how dependent these coastal communities are on British waters.
So, not entirely, but we've seen the Danish fisheries community actually being quite active in the past few weeks here. So there's no doubt there's a lot of stake for them, no doubt about that.
Yeah, and so I suppose in that sense, I mean, obviously there's huge interest in the UK in the vote that goes through the House of Commons, but from what you're saying, presumably Danish communities are also very interested in the vote because they have a better chance of negotiating something if there's a deal.
Absolutely. But as I said, it remains to be seen whether they can stick together, or we'll see infighting between French, Dutch and Danish fishers trying to get a better deal for themselves. Whether they'll manage that or not remains to be seen, but so far I think they've managed to, in spite of different interests, to actually build a common front.
Obviously, we focus on occasions like this, summits like this, on the big European leaders, on Angela Merkel and Emmanuel Macron, but we don't hear much from the Danish Prime Minister. What's been the attitude in your country towards Brexit?
Well, I mean, first of all, we consider the Brits our friends and also to a large extent allies within the European Union. So there's sadness, a fair amount of frustration, I have to say. But at the end of the day, there's respect. We've had our referendum in Denmark in the past, 1992, when we voted against the Maastricht Treaty. And, well, we know that these results will have to be respected and then negotiated in the end. We've all seen what the Danes did. They had another go at it in 93, and they had a series of opt-outs which allowed the Danes to stay in the European Union. This is a somewhat different situation. It could obviously be argued.
Jacob Lankford, very grateful for your time. Thank you very much indeed. Well, we've heard from most of the European leaders today, including the Irish Prime Minister, Leo Varadkar, who has said that the best outcome for all concerned would be if the UK remained in the EU. But given that was not going to happen, he said the draft agreement was the next best thing.
I've always thought that the best outcome for Ireland and for Europe and indeed the United Kingdom would be for the UK to stay in the European Union, the customs union and the single market. We respect the decision of the British people and the UK Parliament not to do that. What we have agreed today is the next best outcome. It protects the peace, affirms the rights and freedoms of European, Irish and British citizens, ensures that there will be no hard border, and also insulates our economy from major disruptions in trade, thus protecting jobs and people's standard of living.
Yes, the one thing that shines through from all the comments of the European leaders today, in their view, is there is no plan B. They know that there is talk in the UK of reopening the withdrawal agreement and renegotiating if the vote goes down, but Jean-Claude Juncker, followed by a host of European leaders, said that is not going to happen. They are not prepared at this stage, at least, to contemplate a plan B. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel acknowledged there is still work to be done on the future relationship outlined in the political declaration.
We strive for close cooperation and also very close cooperation in the field of internal security. These are important aspects, as Theresa May herself said. We continue to live in a European area even once or after Great Britain has left the European Union. Thus, there is still a lot that needs to be done, a lot of work for us. The House of Commons will now be seized of the draft agreement, but I think this has been really a very successful endeavour in a difficult situation without precedent. Never before have we been in a situation where a member wanted to leave the European Union. We have been successful enough in this attempt of reaching an agreement that balances the interests of both sides, paying respect or paying heed to the interests of both sides, allowing at the same time for a close partnership. But all of that took place in a spirit that implied tough negotiations, while never losing sight of the fact that we could only work for a win-win situation for both sides. And as I said, my feelings are divided. I feel very sad, but also I feel a certain sense of relief that we've been able to achieve what we have achieved.
Yeah, sort of understanding on all sides that there is so much more to do, because this political declaration, 26 pages long, it's non-legally binding, of course, it's an aspiration, and it's pretty vague at that, with something in it for everyone. Let's talk about what happens next then with Chris Morris from our Reality Check team. That all happened very quickly today, didn't it? They waved it through, it goes off to ratification now by the two parliaments. But what are we looking at past that, if we get past that, with the various staging posts along the way?
In the long term, Juncker said the toughest bit is yet to come, and that was future negotiation. But before we get to that, can this deal get ratified in various places? Today, the 27 EU leaders endorsed it. Eventually, those countries will approve it, potentially by a qualified majority, meaning 20 out of 27 countries. In reality, I think it's unthinkable that they could push it through with anything other than unanimous consent. But before we get to that, other hurdles, parliamentary hurdles, and the most obvious, most difficult one clearly, can Theresa May get this deal through the House of Commons, where the opposition, the Labour Party, are opposed, a large section of her own party is opposed as well, and that, I think, is obviously the next focus, and a lot of the choreography and the statements from today were aimed at that vote in the House of Commons, saying, look, this is the only deal on offer. Everyone was saying the same thing. Heaven knows how much they discussed that behind the scenes before they came up with that line, but that's what we're going to hear again and again. It's this or it's nothing. In reality, could it be changed if it was voted down in the House of Commons? But the withdrawal agreement, a legal treaty, I don't think anyone will reopen. The political declaration, could it be tweaked? Well, at the moment they're saying that we're not interested. I think probably it could, but not to alter the entire scope of the agreement.
No, but the problem is, I mean, the problems that the Brexiteers and the DUP have with the document is that's in the legally binding stuff. The political declaration holds no weight at all.
It doesn't, and even if you did try and persuade a few people by changing things, changing some of the language in the political declaration, you might then raise other questions in other countries and in the European Parliament, the other stage of ratification. As well as the House of Commons, it has to be ratified in the European Parliament, and only if it gets to the House of Commons and the European Parliament and gets this qualified majority of support among the other countries do we get to March 29, 2019, knowing that that's the date in which the UK leaves and then moves into this 21-month period of transition. As I said again, that is when perhaps the even more difficult negotiation starts, because that is the negotiation on what the future relationship looks like. And every country, as we've been discussing throughout the day, has its own particular bugbears and its own particular interest that it will be determined to uphold.
It's interesting you talk about the 21 months of the transition, because perhaps the most important thing that Theresa May is hanging her hat on right now is the fact that if they don't get there, and very few people think they can complete it in that time, they could extend the transition, because that's now there in the withdrawal agreement, isn't it, to 2022 possibly?
Potentially for 2 more years you could extend the transition. It's not a great look, because yes, it gives businesses and governments more time to complete the government's an agreement on the future, and businesses have more time to prepare.
But of course that would potentially be nearly 4 years in which the UK would be out of the European Union, following all its rules, paying into the budget without having any say in making those rules. And if it went to the end of 2022, it would take us beyond the date on which we have to have another general election. It's hard to imagine the Conservative Party, if they're still in power at that stage, wanting to go into that election saying everyone else being said we haven't properly left yet.
And it's interesting that you say other things will come out of the woodwork the longer that you extend the negotiating period. Another one's come out today about Britain not having a say in the security and defence policy of the EU, and that's largely because Cyprus had a problem with that, because it could open the door to Turkey.
Yeah, Cyprus and Greece have both, throughout this process, said that when it comes to common foreign and security policy, our first interest is the relationship, the difficult relationship they have with Turkey. And it's just one example of how, as I say, each country has their own interests. It was interesting in the press conference today, both Angela Merkel and Emmanuel Macron, so both Germany and France, without being prompted, mentioned pretty early the fact that fishing, we've been here before, fishing is going to be a really difficult issue. And according to the withdrawal agreement and the political declaration, they're supposed to come up with a new agreement on fishing by the middle of 2020. And if they don't, that could have consequences for other things in the future. So there are landmines scattered along this route.
Yes, perhaps not a battle royal on the high seas, but certainly over the high seas. Chris Morris, thank you very much indeed. It is worth pointing out that were the vote not to go through in the House of Commons, we mustn't preempt that, because we just don't know what MPs will decide when they're facing the Gulf, the toes are over the edge of the cliff, and they have to decide whether they like no deal or whether they can stomach the chaos of what might come after that. So we don't just know what's going to happen in the vote, but it is worth saying that if that goes down, there is a summit here in Brussels 2 or 3 days later, potentially the end of year summit in Brussels, and it may well be, for all the choruses of this won't be reopened, it won't be renegotiated, it could be that for the last summit of the year, the 27 leaders are back deciding what they can give to the UK side to get it through the Houses of Commons.
Christian Fraser there in Brussels. Thank you very much, Christian. Let's turn to other news this afternoon. And a man has been charged with the attempted murder of a police officer after a knife attack in East London. This happened at Ilford Railway Station on Friday night. Daniel Adeyemi, who's 24, appears before magistrates tomorrow. The officer involved has been discharged from hospital. A survey suggests a third of people who've bought newly built homes aren't satisfied with the properties. The figures come from an independent review by the New Homes Review. 9 out of 10 of those surveyed reported defects or snags when they first moved in. The House Builders Federation says the industry is working on a new system for resolving such disputes. Documents believed to contain information about Facebook's data privacy policies have been seized in London on the instruction of a Parliament committee. It's thought the documents were taken as MPs on the digital culture, media and sports sectors who didn't think Facebook had been responding adequately to questions they wanted answering. Here's our business correspondent, Joe Miller.
It's a very rare use of a centuries-old parliamentary power. Essentially what happened is the DCMS Select Committee reportedly sent the Sergeant-at-Arms, who may be familiar to viewers from ceremonies like the Speaker's procession in the House of Commons, to a London hotel to seize documents from an American tech executive who was over here on a business trip. Now this executive, who's the head of a very small app-developing company, he had these documents because of a court case that's going on in California, in which his company is suing Facebook for a very small case to do with access to user data as well. Now, the DCMS committee won't tell us how many documents there are, and they won't confirm crucially whether, as the Observer newspaper reports, they contain emails between Mark Zuckerberg and other Facebook executives, but they do say they'll issue a statement about this soon.
And according to how the story was reported this morning, it looks like this tech boss initially said no, and when he said no, he was kind of physically escorted to Parliament.
Yes, these are all details which the DCMS Select Committee won't confirm at this moment. I think they just wanted the headline that these documents have been seized, and they particularly want that headline because it's a shot across the bows for Facebook.
They want it to be seen in the New York Times tomorrow morning or the Washington Post, or whatever Mark Zuckerberg happens to read online.
And they very likely will be, and of course the background to this is this committee, which is originally set up, this inquiry rather, which was originally set up to look into fake news, has been trying to get answers out of Facebook ever since the Cambridge Analytica scandal exploded, and has particularly been trying to get Mark Zuckerberg to come and testify in Parliament, and he's repeatedly refused. So I think this is this Select Committee using what limited powers it has, even if they may be quite ancient, to try and get Silicon Valley's attention.
Joe Miller reporting. South American football officials forced to postpone one of the biggest matches in Argentina's history last night after a bus carrying one of the teams was attacked by rival fans. The match, which is equivalent to the Champions League's final, was between two teams from Buenos Aires, Boca Juniors and River Plate. Leyva de Seco reports.
Running battles on the streets of Buenos Aires as River Plate fans throw missiles at police. They should have been cheering on their team at the historic football final. Instead, these supporters are part of what looks like a full-blown riot. Earlier, River Plate the bus carrying Boca Juniors to the stadium. Boca captain Pablo Perez had an injured eye, apparently after shards of glass got into it. Other players had cuts on their faces and legs. For the fans, there was disappointment and frustration as their evening was cut short.
It's a complete embarrassment. The sad thing is the vast majority of people have come to enjoy this game peacefully with their family and their children, but because of 300 misfits, it's always the same people. Soccer has been hurt.
This was supposed to project a good image of people celebrating. I'm very bitter. I've always hoped that things could change, but they're not changing.
This had been the most anticipated game in the history of the two football giants, the first time they were facing each other in a big South American final. As the Boca team left the stadium, the match had been rescheduled to go ahead later today, but there are still concerns about more violence and ugly scenes to come. Leyva de Seco, BBC News.
Now, we often hear about the post-traumatic stress disorder experienced by those returning from armed forces duty abroad, but the same symptoms can be felt by members of the emergency services working in the UK. In the week that Prince William opened up about his own mental health struggles as an air ambulance pilot, we're asking if more can be done to help those who work so hard to help others. Reporter John Maguire has been filming.
As London's air ambulance arrives for duty, its flight crew, paramedics and doctors have no idea what the day has in store. On average, it's called to 5 emergencies a day, all will involve patients who are critically ill or injured. The service, run by a charity, attracts doctors from around the world because of the high level of emergency care that its staff provides. A Canadian, Dr. Mike Christian, was one of the first medics on the scene at the London Bridge terror attacks last year.
I do know one of the paramedics who was first on scene, and I think literally the first person there, and he was profoundly impacted by this and sought the appropriate help and recognized the signs and symptoms he was experiencing, and that benefited him significantly. He's been able to return to his career and continue on after going through that.
He served as a military doctor in Afghanistan, so understands the after effects of severe trauma, and also that medical staff are some way behind the military in their awareness of post-traumatic stress disorder.
In your day-to-day work, like something you do as part of your regular career, I think, unlike the military, people are less aware that this can have an impact. So the programs that have been in place in the military are now moving into emergency services and moving into healthcare to help people be able to recognize the impact this can have on them and have a healthy career.
This film was made by Dr. Matthew Walton, based on an incident he attended while flying with an air ambulance. He believes more could and should be done, especially to help young staff cope.
One part of what we're trying to do is create a briefing package which can be given to people who are new to this type of work, to give them some very simple education as to what they might see, what are the normal reactions that people can have, and what they can do if they do require any further help or support, and who they can turn to when they need it.
Just this week, Prince William spoke about how he was affected by his time as an air ambulance pilot.
The relation between the job and the personal life was what really took me over the edge. And I started feeling things that I've never felt before, and I got very sad and very down.
These issues will be discussed at the World Extreme Medicine Conference in Edinburgh today. Delegates will consider what more needs to be done to help people in the emergency services to cope with such traumatic events, to help each other and themselves, so that they can carry on helping those in such critical need. John Maguire, BBC News.
For a time, we'll look at the weather. Here's Nick.
Hello, our weather's turning much more unsettled in the week ahead, wetter, windier, but also milder. Into this evening and tonight, we'll hold on to a few showers across eastern parts of the UK. Some may run right across northern England, in towards Northern Ireland, some in the far southeast of England and eastern Scotland. Elsewhere, variable cloud, clear spells, clear for any period of time. You could see a touch of frost as temperatures fall close to freezing, 1 or 2 mist and fog patches. Well below freezing for some in northwest Scotland as Monday begins, down to -4 or so, but sunshine to come here tomorrow. Still a scattering of showers through parts of eastern England and Scotland tomorrow and into Northern Ireland, but many western parts, western Scotland, Wales, western England, will get to see some sunshine, and for some of us here, even sunnier compared with today. The easterly breeze isn't as strong, still quite chilly out there though, with single-figure temperatures tomorrow around 6 to 9 degrees for the most part. It is turning milder as the week goes on, but as I said earlier, much windier and wetter too.
Say daddy. Say mama. What happens in the first 2 years of life lays the foundation for everything to come.
Billions born with about 50 trillion connections in their brain.
You can see the brainwaves changing over time.
No, don't touch.
We're about to discover the complexity, sheer genius, how we all grow up.
How you became you. Babies, Their Wonderful World. Starts tomorrow at 9 on BBC Two.
Hello again, this is BBC Shortly, the headlines this hour. The British Prime Minister Theresa May urges Parliament and the public to back her Brexit deal after it's endorsed at a summit of EU leaders in Brussels today. Jean-Claude Juncker, President of the European Commission, warns MPs that the agreement is the best and only deal on offer. In other news, man's been charged with attempted murder of a police officer after a knife attack in East London. The incident happened at Ilford railway station on Friday. Facebook, Parliament has seized documents as part of an ongoing dispute between Facebook and a committee of MPs investigating the technology giant's use of private data. Christian Fraser and the team in Brussels at 4. Now, though, it's time for Click.
This week, fighting fires from the air, on the ground, and even on rail. The Californian wildfires are the deadliest the state has ever seen. They've claimed the lives of more than 80 people. Hundreds are missing and whole towns have been destroyed. As residents tried to escape, the firefighters did what they always do. They ran towards the danger. It's a profession that relies on courage, education and, increasingly, the latest science and technology to better understand how fires behave and how to beat back flames. And if you want to be a firefighter, this is where you learn your craft. International Fire Training Centre in Darlington, in the north of England. This is where brave firefighters come from around the world to learn the latest techniques for fighting all kinds of blazes.
They can simulate a huge variety of fire scenarios here. Oil rigs, industrial fires, that's an overturned fuel tanker, and they can simulate any size of aircraft, from the smallest to the largest. That is an Airbus A380, and this is a Boeing 747.
And it's not just about gearing up and grabbing the hose. Every fire is different, and each needs to be treated intelligently to make sure you and the people you're trying to save have the best chance of survival.
Wow. Oh my goodness. We're using the water as a protective shield. So we're keeping the two fires apart, using the water, keeping the left-hand one at bay and then extinguishing the right one before we deal with the left.
The centre tries to make each scenario as realistic as possible, not just the fire, but the treatment of the casualties too. It's fascinating to see the science behind it. For example, in a kerosene fuel fire, water won't put it out. This cone of water controls the blaze so that another firefighter can come in with a powder extinguisher. That is what finally tames the flames. And once they're gone, does that mean the job is done? Well, that's where this thermal imaging camera comes in, to see what our eyes can't.
So once it looks like the fire's out, you still have to cover the area in water, just in case there are some hot spots. You can see here the vent on the top of this engine is still white hot underneath this thermal imaging camera. And there are many other ways to detect and deal with fires. Laura Lewington has been looking at some of them.
2 years, half of the
UK's fire brigades have been deploying these drones. They focus on the safety of firefighters, and their onboard HD and thermal imaging cameras can provide much greater visibility, which means a better understanding of a fire and the way that it's spreading.
Using a drone, we can get pretty much an instant overview of a whole fire in sort of less than 5 minutes, and start moving our machines and our firefighters around just like chess pieces, really, all controlled by sort of your drone footage. It also brings us a massive benefit as we can see fires as they're developing.
The team here have also used them for rescues and searching for missing people in quarries or in water, the HD camera being able to clearly zoom in on a face up to half a mile away. But of course, when it comes to the spread of fires, what's happened recently in California is at the forefront of our minds.
Well, the University of Westminster is researching a system that combines sensors on the ground and those in a drone. The aim? A solution for wildfires.
These solar-powered prototype sensors are tracking carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, oxygen, humidity, temperature, GPS and altitude. The aim is to combine them into one miniaturised, cost-effective version, which could be deployed en masse in areas susceptible to wildfires, providing immediate feedback.
There is something they will alert all their neighbours also, going to a network, alert, they can take measurements, convey the master unit, which then conveys it further up to the server, which then alerts the drones that come up to get a visual. The plane comes with all the information that it has got from the drones, from the sensors. It knows what wind speed is, what wind direction is, what the temperature variations are. Comes to the fire, it knows where the fire is going to be when the plane rendezvous with that, and then it makes a release from there, and then you've got the heavens opening with these lovely pellets flying in and hitting the target where fire is, and you can fight the fire day and night, 24 hours a day, with no visibility.
Meanwhile, this is the Stinger. It can pierce through metal and pretty much any roof, dramatically blasting foam or water into the heart of a blaze.
The quantity and force of that water is pretty incredible.
This pumps 1,000 litres a minute, with an even more powerful jet to the side, capable of 4.5 times that. It also has an onboard thermal imaging camera to assist with that precision. Blackburn is currently the only UK fire service using this kit, though. I'm told it costs around £600,000. But maybe as costs come down and all of this technology evolves, this next generation of firefighting will become the norm.
That was Lara. And back at the International Fire Training Centre, I'm about to be shut inside a mock Boeing 747. See, when it comes to fire, sometimes it's not the one right in front of you that's the most dangerous. It's the one that's waiting to ignite.
This is to demonstrate what happens when flammable vapours up high reach an ignition source. It's called a flashover, and it looks like this. I tell you, just that tiny bit of fire in this enclosed environment really shows that smoke is the real killer. My goodness, you can hardly breathe, it's stinging my eyes. They use so much water here every year that it would be silly if they didn't try and reuse it. So that's exactly what they do. All the water, the kerosene, the foam, the powder and the general sludge from the site flow into a drainage system. It goes underground and ends up first of all in a small lagoon over here where the kerosene floats to the top and is skimmed off. And they can actually reuse it. It will burn again. The rest of the liquid ends up in the next lagoon where the solids settle out. And then all you're left with is this watery foamy mix which gets pumped to the reed beds over there. Now the foam is made of animal protein which the reeds actually feed on. So they effectively suck the foam out of the liquid. So all you're left with at the end of the day is relatively clean water.
And we'll have more from this place soon.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Tech. It was the week that the price of Bitcoin hit lows not seen since 2017, leading to speculation on the cryptocurrency's future value. Uber announced it would make accessible cars available in 15 minutes or less to wheelchair users in 6 major cities, after facing criticism of long wait times and limited availability. And Star Wars actor Mark Hamill teamed up with big company Open Bionics to send a positive message to kids around the world living with limb differences.
Luke lost his hand to Vader. That didn't stop him from defeating the Empire.
It was also the week that NASA finally decided where it's going to land its 2020 Mars rover. They hope it holds the clue to ancient life on the planet. Meanwhile, NASA also launched a workplace safety review into SpaceX and Boeing. The two companies were contracted to fly astronauts to the International Space Station, possibly as early as 2019. Sources close to the investigation say it comes after SpaceX founder Elon Musk was seen puffing marijuana on a podcast in September. And finally, you can never have enough Star Wars in the news. Forget the forest moon of Endor. Devon, England is where a local man has installed a 4.5-metre replica of the AT-ST Imperial Walker by a roadside, where he hopes it will become a tourist attraction. The local council weren't impressed and have ordered him to take it down.
As well as the practical firefighting that happens here at the International Fire Training Centre, there's plenty of theory to be learned about the unusual ways that fire can behave.
Now, a real danger to firefighters is when a fire in a sealed room starves itself of oxygen, so it looks like the fire has gone out, but the whole place is still really, really hot. Then if a firefighter opens a door to come in, oxygen rolls in and starts to mix with the gases. They become flammable again, and that's when you get a backfire. So, wouldn't it be good if firefighters could use technology to see what they're getting themselves into? And that's what Paul Carter has been looking at.
For firefighters, it's often the things they can't see that are the most dangerous. The helmet I'm wearing has a thermal imaging camera fit into the side. What's unique is that it incorporates a small Google Glass style heads-up display. It's visible over one eye, giving firefighters thermal imaging without obscuring their normal vision.
I'm going to use it going into this very smoky room and see what I can see. Luckily it's not too smoky and I can actually still see it, but once the smoke really starts to get out, as strange as it may sound, my view of that fire is going to completely
In modern buildings, there's a lot of synthetic materials. Buildings are more closed than ever. There's less room next to windows and things like that. So there's a lot of smoke development, and fire may actually be hidden behind smoke. Or there may be people on the floor that you don't see. But the thickness of the smoke is really an issue for firefighters. You always have access to the thermal imaging, which starts having some additional advantages. That is that you would also use a thermal camera where before it wasn't possible. When you're working with a fire hose, you can actually see as well if you're aiming right.
Just as firefighters protect us, keeping them protected is also critical. Nothing is more important than the clothing they wear.
And one of the biggest issues with